Joining me right now is North Carolina Congressman Greg Murphy. He is a member of the House Ways and Means Committee and the vice chair of the GOP Doctors Caucus. Congressman, it's good to see you today. Thanks very much for being here. What are the plans in terms of the House taking up this consideration to ban Russian imports?
Well, Maria, I'm finally glad that Pelosi is on board with this. This was brought up by our Republican colleagues when we had a debriefing meeting with Blinken, with Austin, and the Secretary of the Interior. We said, why are we not banning Russian oil? Because we as America have for the last 14 months since they destroyed American independence in oil and gas production, we have been feeding a Russian war machine. Well, Maria, that just doesn't stand anymore. And I think Pelosi read the room, and she could see the Secretary of the Interior really squirm. And she read the room, and she knows politically this is a top issue for Republicans to stop the nonsense of us feeding the Russian war machine and get back to energy independence. But what is really sad is instead of turning to Americans, the Biden administration wants to turn to our foes, to Iran, to Venezuela, rather than to increase American production of oil. Which, by the way, for the green left, this oil products, just like Russia, is much dirtier than American oil and gas production. So again, it's nonsensical. She's doing it because she knows it's the political right thing to do. But then again, we're really not doing the right thing to do. We need to get our American independence back online.
Well, this is exactly the point that I was going to mention to you this morning. I'm so glad you went there, because here's the Washington Post this morning. In a rare trip to Venezuela, U.S. officials discuss the nation's oil exports amid a proposal to ban Russian fuel. Why are we not looking in our own backyard, knowing that the XL pipeline and drilling on federal lands could be reversed very quickly and actually lead to the U.S. becoming another energy independent exporter? What is the problem with actually getting stronger here in America before turning to foreigners?
Maria, there have been questions about the competency of this president during his entire administration, and the fact that he's been hijacked by the far left. I have to question this. If Biden is really making these decisions, we have to question the competency of the president, because everybody, now even Speaker Pelosi, has seen that this is the wrong pathway to feed our enemies, to feed a Russian war machine, rather than to stake out energy independence for this country. I can't fathom any particular idea. Yes, they want to push us to renewables. Fine, we can do renewables, but you can't do that in a moment's notice. And plus, you shouldn't be doing it on the back of the taxpayers of Americans, feeding a Russian war machine.
Well, I think you make a great point. You're the head of the Doctors Caucus. Do you believe that Biden's mental capacity is a national security issue?
I do, Maria, and I don't say that very lightly, because you don't make decisions like this. Rational people don't make decisions like this.
Yeah.
And if you look at so much during his presidency, these are not rational decisions. They're not even one side versus the left side. They're not rational decisions.
Yeah.
So it's either he making them or his puppeteers. I can't tell which.
Let me move on to this arrangement to send fighter jets, air power to Ukraine, NATO giving the green light to send fighter jets to Ukraine. On Sunday Morning Futures, I spoke with your colleagues, Congressman and former pilots Jake Ellzey as well as August Pfluger, to get them to weigh in on this plan to send these warplanes and supplies to Ukraine. Here's what Jake Ellzey said. Watch.
We need to get all these aircraft in so that Ukraine owns their own airspace and prevents anybody else from either dropping bombs or sending in supplies, because I think in the next 10 days you're going to see a supply shortage of these 180,000 troops. We need to be sending them Stingers, Javelins, and aircraft right now, because I think that this invasion is about to crumble. When they thought they were going to be welcomed as liberators, and instead they're being shown that they are enemies, the morale of these troops is going to fail very, very quickly.
Congressman, how do you walk this balance of ensuring that Ukraine has the air power that it needs, but not launching NATO countries into what could be World War III?
Well, Maria, this is what we should have done a month ago. It's what we should have done 6 weeks ago. It's what we should have done 6 months ago. We asked the Biden administration 6 months ago to arm Ukraine in anticipation of some type of belligerent actions like this. We asked them, Secretary Blinken, we asked the General Austin in a briefing 5 or 6 weeks ago, before hostilities ever occurred, to put in sanctions then. But sadly enough, this administration, just as Robert Gates said, Biden has been on the wrong side of every foreign policy decision for the last 40 years. And this is another one. We're doing things reactively rather than proactively. But if Ukraine owns its own airspace, just as Jake Ellsey said, it will be a much greater difficulty for the Russian army to continue.
Yep. Congressman, thanks so much for your leadership. Great to talk with you this morning. We so appreciate your time. Greg Murphy joining us this morning. Thank you, sir. All right, we'll see you soon. We'll be right back. Stay with us.